Well, hello there and welcome. You are listening to the Kindness Matters podcast, and I am your host, Mike Rathbun. What is this podcast all about? It's about kindness. It's a pushback against everything negative that we see in the news and on social media today, and it's a way to highlight people, organizations that are simply striving to make their little corner of the world a little better place. If you want to join in on the conversation, feel free. Go ahead and follow us on all of your social media feeds. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're even on LinkedIn under Mike Rathbun. Check us out. And in the meantime, so sit back, relax, enjoy, and we'll get into the Kindness Matters podcast. Hey, welcome everybody to the show. I am so glad that you could join us and take some time out of your day today. Remember, if there's anything you hear in the show with my guest, feel free to share it with your friends and family and strangers on the street and whoever.
Scream it out to the world. Just let them
Exactly.
hear it.
My guest today, you guys, she is so cool. My guest today is Juliana Coughlin. She's a podcaster. She's a runner. She's a Harry Potter nerd. In case you're wondering, she's a Hufflepuff. She's a dietitian. She's a spondy. We'll get into that in a minute. And a dog mom, which, I mean, automatically ranks you like right up here in my book. Juliana lives on Cape Cod in Massachusetts with her pitty Myrtle. Oh, I've got to see Myrtle before we get off. Anyway.
Oh, yes. Myrtle's hanging out on the couch over there. So
her two podcasts, which include Runna, about running in her hometown of Falmouth, Massachusetts. Did I do it right?
Yeah, Runna.
Yeah. Well, I meant Falmouth.
Falmouth. Falmouth. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to hear people pronounce Falmouth. I love it.
Yeah, because I always want to go Falmouth. And her other podcast, Into the Fold, which is a Grishaverse podcast, we'll have to talk about that, are independently produced by herself with her best friend, Jeff. By day, she works as a social media manager and also as a registered dietitian. And when she's not walking her dog, podcasting, or talking Potter, she can be found running. She has run 2 Boston marathons. Wow. The New York City Marathon, the Chicago Marathon, and the Tokyo Marathon, and has her eyes set on the Berlin Marathon next. She also has a chronic illness, here's a test, called alkalizing spondylosis.
That was it's either alkalizing or ankylosing spondylitis, I believe.
It's alkalizing, isn't it?
I don't know which one to pronounce. I'll tell you what, this disease has like 3 different pronunciations at a minimum of how you pronounce it. We can just call it AS. We'll just call it fancy arthritis.
I like it.
/AS.
And that refers to the spondy up above earlier, and is currently on a journey to finding her best treatment plan to combat this condition. Welcome to the show, Juliana Coughlin.
Ooh, yay! Really long intro. We love it.
Yeah, and the crowd goes wild.
Woo-hoo. Well, thank you for having me, Mike.
So much fun to have you on here. You are just a delight to talk to, and I can't believe my luck in having you be a guest on my show.
Well, we'll decide if it's luck or not, but it could be a.
Oh, this is going to go well.
Yeah, no. I'm excited to be here.
Well, and I mean, first of all, okay, why running?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess my brief running origin story is that I was never really athletic growing up as a kid. And I just, I did sports kind of, but not really. I was more of a theater kid. And my best friend in high school, Lydia, was like, hey, Juliana, wouldn't it be crazy if every day after school we went and ran a mile? And I'd like, Lydia, that's absolutely insane. Why would we do that? And she's like, you want to do it? I was like, sure. So we did that, and then my mom kind of got involved, and we ended up doing the Couch to 5K program, which at that point, now it currently is like an app and a website and like all these things. It was a printable PDF. You print off the piece of paper, you bring it with you to the track, and you follow like the walking, running kind of thing. And then I just kind of started running recreationally to stay in shape. And what essentially led me to where I am now is the running community in Falmouth, Mass, where I live, is just very vibrant and very involved and really awesome. And when I moved here, that kind of sparked my interest in more like group community running, events, things like that, because I saw like what that could actually be. And that's when I started running marathons, was after I moved down here. So plus the Cape is gorgeous, and if you go on a long run, you get to see like lighthouses and the ocean.
Well, yeah,
it's
the
beautiful.
Cape is amazing, right?
Yeah, it definitely helps. I always tell people too, if I had stayed in the town where I grew up in, which is in central Massachusetts, I would have never started running longer distance because it is ugly there.
You're like, yeah, seen it.
Yeah. It's
nothing interesting here.
Yeah, it's gross. And I definitely accredit my running a lot to just the environment here and how pretty it is. And again, how just involved the running community here is in Falmouth, which I am now a really big part of, which is great. We love it.
Yeah. And all those marathons.
Yeah, just
I see Minneapolis Marathon is on there.
Yeah, well,
the Grandma's.
Grandma's is on my list actually of ones that I want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have some like bigger marathons that I'm working on. There's marathons called the World Marathon Majors, which the ones that you mentioned are a part of. So you got Boston, Chicago, New York, London, Tokyo, and Berlin, and now Sydney. So that's
one to shoot for.
Yeah. So I'm working on those. So right now we got Berlin for this fall, London for next spring, and then Sydney's either going to be next 2026 fall or 2027 fall. So we'll see what's going on. Like just
that's
if I can get
cool.
in. Yeah. For me, it's nice because about once a year I have like a big destination to go to, and it kind of predetermines where my big vacation for the year is going to be. And I don't have to think about it, which is nice.
Right. That's so cool. And I tried not running, jogging, I guess, in high school. And I enjoyed it because I would always do it early morning. And everything was so quiet. Yeah. And I could just kind of get lost in my thoughts. Didn't last long.
Yeah, I think you.
This was 78, 79.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if running was a thing.
Yeah, it's much more community based now than it really ever has been, which is fantastic. Which I think is, for me personally, is a big reason why I'm much more involved than I really would have ever been if there hadn't been like a community engagement portion of it. And I definitely agree with you the point that you made of just being able to go out and process your thoughts, because that's how I kind of work through a lot of my thoughts too, is I just go out for a run and just kind of get lost in my thoughts and come back and I'm ready to save the world essentially, because I've solved all the problems.
You solved all the problems. I'm done.
That's it. We're good. World is saved. But yeah.
And I just, with all the experience you've got with podcasting, I feel like I'm on the wrong side of the mic here.
Nah, we like to keep it approachable, and I'm someone who I don't have any formal background in media production or anything like that. Anything that I've done, I've taught myself and just kind of learned over the years. So people have been like, wow, Juliana, you've been doing this for a while. I'm like, yeah, but I still have no idea what the heck I'm doing half the time.
Right? I'm winging it. It sounds good. People listen. I'm good.
Yeah. You just got, as you know, Mike, half the battle is just putting yourself out there and just doing the thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess next for me probably would have to be doing video.
Yeah,
but I'm not ready for that.
I will tell you, it took me probably, I think, like 3 years before I was even comfortable being on a video podcast where I wasn't just like a blank face. And then just recently, I've started actually doing YouTube content. So it's been a very slow burn. So don't push yourself too hard if you don't want to.
Yeah, I was on a video podcast just before Christmas. I was a guest Um, a couple, they have a podcast called Spoil My Movie.
Oh, that's fun.
It is. And they just go through and they break down movies. And because it was Christmas time, because there was a theme of kindness there, we did It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun. And the guy, Chris Crick, is the guy, the male of that duo. And he's the tech guy.
Yeah.
And everything was black and white.
Uh-huh.
That was cool.
That's fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think I could do it on a regular basis. So, but
Yeah,
I mean, look at we're doing it, right?
Yeah,
I'm just not hosting the video.
Yeah, you could do it. It kind of, I think the other thing what I've learned through my very short tenure in video editing thus far is it doesn't have to be perfect. And I will say, just being like a social media on the social media manager side of things, definitely content that's like authentic and imperfect is kind of where things are trending, just because like AI is trending up. So people see like those weird AI things and then they're just kind of looking for human connection. And that more or less is where things are headed. So
if imperfect is in, then I am right there. I'm set to take off.
Yeah.
So,
same.
Okay, I have to ask about Myrtle. Is she a rescue?
She is, yeah. So I've had 2 dogs, both of which have been rescues. And I just grew up with rescue dogs as well, too. Some of which have been rescued from organizations, one of which was actually just taken directly off the street. Maybe not the best choice by my parents. The dog turned out fine, but we...
Off the freeway?
I'm not exactly sure where this dog was found. This is a white German Shepherd that we named Snowy. And my dad's friend found her and no one claimed her. And so my dad was like, we shall take her. I was like, okay. So yeah, we had that dog for a while. I mean, she was great. Luckily we got lucky. That's a little bit more risky than I care to be with my personal choices for animals right now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I do have some friends who live in town who have farms who, if that does happen, I know that they'll take anything that breathes essentially, which is great because you need someone who will do that.
Sure.
But yeah, Myrtle is a rescue. I got her from a rescue that is local to Martha's Vineyard, which is just right across the Vineyard Sound here on the Cape. Called Bark. And sorry, not Bark. Sandy Paws. Bark is the organization I got my first dog from. But yeah, Myrtle is some kind of pit bull mix rescue. Not really sure exactly what. Now she's sitting up and looking at me over there. And
she's like, I hear my name.
She's like, I hear my name. And you did not give me food. I did not give you food.
You're getting a look now.
Yeah, she's looking at me like big time. And now I'm getting side-eyed. Soon I'm going to get the butt. She likes to turn around and just give me her butt. And I'm like, great. This is you're not getting anywhere.
That's how you know you're in trouble.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but she's some kind of pit bull mix. She has like the big square pit bull like top of her head, but the bottom of her jawline isn't like that really, really square jawline. But she's the sweetest dog I've ever met. She's like, people have a lot of predispositions about pit bulls. She's never been violent with like anyone, anything. Like she is such a weenie. Like I would not depend on her to like defend me at all. She is just
you're on your own, Juliana. See ya.
Yeah,
Go
pretty
find
much.
a new home now.
Yeah, she probably would just be like, "Ooh," and just like walk away, and I'd be like, "Okay, great, that was really helpful, Myrtle."
Yeah, so. I was gonna say you might hear. Mine is behind me. She's laying right behind me. If I move even an inch, I'm going to run over her paw or something. Typically, I don't have her in the studio when I'm recording because she has a really bad habit of barking for no apparent reason. Typically, if I'm recording, I leave. I didn't realize she was back here until we were talking, and I heard a little woof. So apparently she was sleeping and dreaming. And so if you hear something, that's what that is. And I love that and that was kind of handed down, the rescue part, right?
Yeah, because I've just never, to me, it just doesn't make sense, like monetarily. And also, I feel like people, unless you're specifically showing a dog for the way that it looks, which you're never even guaranteed that either, unless you like adopt the dog as an adult and you know exactly what the dog looks like now, and it's probably not going to change too much. But if you adopt a puppy, it's kind of a 50-50 shot if you're going to get what you wanted, like looks and personality wise, I would say. And for me, I'm just not in the camp of paying so much money for a dog that I don't have a purpose for the dog except for to be a companion.
Right.
And for me, as long as me and the dog get along and we have a nice time together, that's really it. So I'm not like out here on I have a friend who saved up like $3,000 or $4,000 for like a King Charles Cocker Spaniel.
Cavalier, Spaniel.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
big old long name. And I was like, I don't think like because the way the dog looks is kind of irrelevant, to be honest.
Yeah. Although they do have sweet faces.
They're really cute. I mean, but most dogs are cute. That's the thing.
Right.
Like, I'd say like at least like 80% of dogs are just like outwardly very, very, very cute, and they do not have to try. So it's to me, it's not worth the money or to do it. And also, like, why wouldn't you just help out another dog if you can? Like, why not provide a good home to a dog that's not really had a good home till now?
Because, and you're going to love this, because
Uh-huh.
it's the kind thing to do.
Yeah, there you go. Tying it back. Same message. We keep the message going.
Keep it back in there.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're a generally kind person, but you've kind of decided to put a little more focus on that going forward, haven't you?
Yeah. So my general attitude towards the world is just trying to like one, my goal for life is to be myself. So that's just kind of discovering who I am. And through that I've kind of come to the realization that your life is just a little bit better if you are just kinder to people. And also that, in my opinion, like attracts like, so energies that are similar attract similar energies. So if you're being negative all the time, you're probably going to attract negative energies. If you're being positive all the time, you're probably going to attract positive energies. And thus like actions and like positive and negative actions should follow, given those energies and whatever's going on.
Yeah.
In the most and least woo-woo way that you want to make that in your head. So definitely I'm in the camp of just trying to be nicer to people, and also actively choosing to point out when people are doing something that either I like or I think is good or that they're good at or is just a positive thing. I always like to say too, because I used to work in nursing homes, and if I was having a bad day, one of the things I used to love to do was just to go up to the little old ladies and compliment them, because that smile that you get from a little old woman when you tell Dolores that she looks stunning in her dress today and her face just lights up, like your whole day is just made right there.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
absolutely.
so adorable. I love it so much. I would just like go around and like they take that the whole rest of the day if they can mentally retain it.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they'll come back and they'll tell everyone, they're like, "Oh, I look gorgeous today," and they're so like self-confident in themselves for the rest of the day. And I'm just like, that's so wonderful to see. And it's so totally like it didn't cost me anything mentally, physically, monetarily to just tell someone they look nice today. And just there was no negative side effects in any direction from that.
Yeah. No, it is. It's amazing what something small like that can do.
Yeah.
My wife and I were shopping last spring, I want to say, and we were at the Walmart.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I saw this something out of the corner of my eye, and it made me turn. And there was a woman in this brilliant, not annoying, pretty, brilliant yellow dress.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh my God. And that it just, I saw it and I like smiled. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you have a choice here, Mike. You can keep it to yourself, or you can, and even going over and saying something might have gone a couple of different ways, but
Yeah.
she was with her husband.
Yeah.
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
But no, so I went over and I said, I'm sorry to interrupt your day, and I apologize, but I just need to tell you that seeing your dress just made me happy, made my day, just brightened my whole mood.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of did the, clutch the pearls kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the smile that came up on her face, and she just said, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I made her day. And I didn't,
Yeah.
it took me, 10 seconds?
Yeah.
And no money, no effort.
Yeah.
And I made somebody's day, and I made her feel better.
Yeah, I'm sure she was like riding on cloud nine the whole rest of the day, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I told you I had to buy this dress.
Yeah, and that was probably part of the conversation too, which funny.
Right.
Um, but yeah, no, it's things like that it's those small little actions, those small little things, and they just make you feel so much better, and they make everyone around you feel so much better. They just make people want to actually be around you too. And like I find, so if anyone here listening is into Harry Potter too, like I like you said, I'm a Hufflepuff, so Hufflepuffs are known for being like kind of like somewhat ditzy, but also like just friendly with everyone. Like they're friends with everyone. And then my other half is being Slytherin, and Slytherin essentially means that you're very self driven. You want to do things for yourself. I
Ah,
identify as like 75% Hufflepuff and like 25% Slytherin, because I get what I want, but I do it nicely. So
okay. So you're not
like,
evil about it. You
yeah, I mean, honestly, the amount of things like just from doing like social media and stuff, or just like personal things or whatever, the amount of things that I've been able to like make happen because I've been like, hey, I really like what you're doing. Keep up the good work, and just letting people know that I appreciate what they're doing, or like telling them what they're doing is good. Honestly, I've opened so many doors for myself just being kind to people
yeah.
and letting them know like what happened. I'm even just thinking like my own personal social media, when I've like tried to reach out to like small creators or like do like a collaboration with people. If I enter the chat with like, I love what you're doing, keep it up, you're doing awesome, like great job, I would say I probably have like at least a 75% success rate with whatever, asking for whatever it is that I want. And then like also people, because one, I entered the chat or like whatever it is with some kindness. I go through the interaction with whatever it is with like respect and kindness. They come back to me again and they're like, it was nice to work with you. Would you like to do this thing, X, Y, and Z thing with us again? Because you were nice and you made it easier on us. And I'm like, yeah, I got to go to like recently I went to the opening of the Harry Potter exhibition in Boston,
Oh,
to the VIP thing.
oh,
And the people were like, hey, you did this one event with us before and everything went really well and we like working with you. Would you like to come to this thing too? I was like, yes, that'd be great. And they're like, great.
yeah. I was going to
Because
ask how kindness played into the social media
yeah,
manager thing because that's really interesting.
yeah. I mean, also like when it comes to being more of like a social media manager, not for myself too, it's nice to come from that kind of side of kindness and just like being a little bit nicer when you are trying to promote a brand or an organization or whatever it is, and also talking to them, because I like to use social media for people that I work with as more of like a little billboard, more of like a hey, look what we do kind of thing, and just showing off, yeah, look at us, this is where you can find us, like showing off the cool things that you're doing and keeping it positive and like centered on like the cool things that you are doing, but also like celebrating the other things or the organizations and businesses that you're connected to as well too, and collaborating with them. Like one of the organizations I work with, Farming Falmouth, this nonprofit, and they were able to give grant money to the main farm that we do gleaning from. So that's
Oh,
collecting like undesirable looking produce after the fact, and then it gets donated to the Falmouth Service Center, which is fantastic. But we were able to like capture that moment and like work with them at and like promoting that like moment of handing over a check to them that was part of the grant, whatever. And that's still one of the most popular reels that they have out there of all time, because it
really?
was just capturing a heartfelt moment of kindness of like, we had this leftover grant money, we can give it to whoever we want, but we're choosing it to give to this farm that we've worked very closely with, who has also benefited the community by donating all this food to the community center.
Yeah,
So it's just like that one's kind of like kindness on kindness on kindness. That was a little bit of a kindness sandwich for
that's that
sure.
whole ripple effect of
Yeah.
kindness, right?
Yeah, but it starts with one small little thing. But even from like the social media management standpoint, the things that are like actually resonating with people, generally speaking, have some kind of, I feel like, kindness element to them that people can identify with.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. And it's so important, especially these days, right?
yeah,
To just be kind.
yeah, yeah. Just be nice to people. I always say too, it takes the same amount of energy to be mean as it does to be nice. So why not just be nice?
Yep, yep. And I
It's
think
not.
what what's the one about how many muscles it takes to frown versus how many muscles it
Oh
takes
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah. To
smile? Yeah, I
smile.
can.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever that quote is, we
Yeah,
we we, we know it.
you know it. You don't need me to say it.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so let's talk about your about AS. What the
Yeah.
heck is that?
Yeah. So essentially, I like to call it fancy arthritis, but the kind of mechanism of the disease is it's a autoimmune disease. So, your body's kind of attacking itself in a weird way. That's generally speaking how autoimmune diseases work. And it's just a chronic illness that I was born with. I don't really have a choice in the matter. It just kind of is there. I can't get rid of it. I did nothing to claim it. So it's there whether I like it or not. And
Okay, go ahead.
I was to say, so the main mechanism is that essentially my spine at the bottom, like where your tailbone is going to fuse together. And so I will become the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I am looking for a cathedral to haunt. So please let me know if you have one for sale. And
Oh my gosh.
I have my number one goal when I get elderly is I'm going to find somewhere, probably in Falmouth, because at that point I'll have enough community connections as like an elderly person. I'd like to just have someone let me go up into one of the church towers here with like a microphone
Sanctuary.
and just like make ghost noises like a couple of times a day and like ring the bell, and then people will be like, I think that church down the street is haunted, and I'll be like, I don't know. Couldn't tell
Maybe
you.
it is. Maybe it isn't.
Tell you.
I was thinking. I went with instead of haunted. I went with Hunchback of Notre Dame with the bell ringing and the sanctuary.
I have to find a bell though. I don't think we have like an actual bell.
No, I think they're all recorded now.
Yeah, as far as I know.
I was reading about it. AS. We're going with AS, right?
Yep.
And so there's. Is there two different kinds? There's one kind that you can automatically get when you get older, but then another one that comes from an injury.
Yeah, so there's radiographic and non-radiographic for the most part, and those are generally speaking just ones where your spine is and is not fused together to a certain extent. The radiographic one, it's more or less just talking about, can you see it on an X-ray? Is it visible to be seen, the fusion of your spine on an X-ray? Most people kind of, as you get older, will transition to the radiographic. Like your spine will just slowly fuse together. Like even over the last like 5 or 6 years, my rheumatologist has seen like a little bit more fusing, like nothing significant, but like the spine is just getting closer and closer together.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, I think the injury side of it that they were mentioning, a lot of the times, like some other autoimmune diseases, your autoimmune disease kind of lays dormant for a little while. Like it'll pop up here and there, and you might get some flares of the disease and you don't really notice it. But a lot of people will have like one big incident in their life. It could be an injury. It could be a big stressful thing. For like females, like you could be having a child, like something like that, where it's a big traumatic thing on your body and your brain. For me, I actually took a fall on black ice. And slammed my entire knee and like blew up. My entire knee was like bloody and like really swollen, but no matter what they did, like it wouldn't go down. And there was just like no rhyme or reason for it until they like tested me for the HLB27, which is the predominant gene that they find with people who have AS. And they tested me for that. I had it. And then they started me on like the biologic medications. I currently take Humira. So those are like those injectable medications.
Yeah.
I take Humira once a week. And those like discovering what it was and then addressing it correctly took the swelling down. And like, then I was able to go back to like largely functioning for the most part, a lot like I was before. So, but I've just always been someone who's been like kind of creaky, and my hips have always given me weird issues and no one's been able to explain them. So like looking back, the math like adds up, but there was just no real diagnosis behind it.
Wow. Now, when you fell on your knee, was that a result of running in Falmouth in January and February?
I was out running, but I had like stopped, and I was actually I had been standing and I put my foot down like the wrong way. I was like checking my watch or something. Yeah. So actually, the irony of it was I was out running, but it was a time during the run where I had stopped to check something and I wasn't physically running, and there was like an ice patch that I just didn't see because I was looking at my watch, and I just slipped and the whole ground fell out from underneath me.
Oh God!
It was definitely interesting.
But now. Is this just a lifelong thing of finding the right treatment?
Yeah. So it's going to be a lifelong thing that I'm going to have to deal with pretty much forever. Like most chronic illnesses, you'll have like the flare-ups, like I mentioned. So you'll have days and weeks and months that are better than others. And from what I've gathered, again, I'm not an expert on this, but from what I've gathered, a lot of the times with like the biologic medications, like the Humira that I'm taking, people will, and I've experienced this as well too, it'll work for you for a certain amount of time and then your body just kind of gets used to it and then you have to go and try another one, which isn't desirable because it takes like 2 to 3 months for these medications to either show if they're working or not.
Oh, wow.
So a trial period for a new medication, like you could pretty much go through a whole year and try out 4 medications and still come up short. So
that's frustrating.
Yeah, kind of.
That's incredibly frustrating. And yet, here you are, smiling and laughing and being kind for no apparent reason other than it's the right thing to do and it makes you feel good.
Yeah. I mean, again, I was actually having this conversation with my uncle yesterday. Him also kind of being like, you have so many issues going on. Like, how are you able to just like have fun? I'm like, because I have so many things in my life that are guaranteed to me that are not going to be fun. And so the things that I can have fun doing, I might as well at least try and counterbalance it and enjoy the things that I can enjoy.
Yeah. Control the things that you can control and have fun. That's awesome. You're such an inspiration, Juliana.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I'm just trying my best.
You're an amazing person and you're so busy and I so appreciate your time today. We probably only talked about kindness like that much, but it was just a fun conversation. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. This is great.
Yeah. My dog's licking. I hope that doesn't go. I hope that doesn't come out on the video or on the audio. If it does, too bad. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and we are going to keep in touch and have a good rest of your week.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
I want to thank you for taking this time to listen to this episode with my guest, Juliana Coughlin. I hope that you're able to take something positive from the time that you spent here today. Maybe you'll be inspired, maybe you'll be motivated, maybe you'll be moved. If you experienced any of those positive feelings, please consider sharing this podcast with your friends and family. I'm always striving to offer you a better experience, so give me some feedback. Let me know how you think I'm doing. Email me, leave a message on my socials. It would mean the world. Also, feel free to follow us on our socials like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and maybe or maybe not TikTok. Depends on the week. This podcast is part of the Mayday Media Network. If you have an idea for a podcast and need some production assistance, or already have a podcast and are looking for a supportive network to join, check out MaydayMediaNetwork.com and check out the many different shows like Afrocentric, Spoil My Movie, Generation Mixtape, In a Pickle Radio Show, Wake Up and Dream with D. Anthony Palin, Stacks O'Packs, and the Time Pals podcast. We will be back again next week with a new episode, and we would be honored if you would join us. You've been listening to the Kindness Matters podcast. I am your host, Mike Rathbun. Have a fantastic week.